Well, on March 22nd, the Council and Mayor Cheney, along with City Supervisor Gary Reedner and Assistant City Supervisor Jen Piffner, we met in a workshop setting and set goals for the upcoming 2012 fiscal year. This is the first step towards establishing the new city budget. It was interesting. Each council member was requested to bring two goals. And Mayor Cheney was requested to bring two, along with City Supervisor Gary Reedner. Those goals were then condensed down to the ones that you see now. There were some that maybe were dismissed, and I think we had three that we kind of combined all into one. And so these are the current 2012 council goals. It was interesting because we had anywhere from one council member that wanted to present, I think, three, to one that thought, well, you know, Walter, and I think Walter was probably right into the step that he said, well, maybe we shouldn't have any goals this year because we still have a lot of goals from last year and the year before that still are not completed. So if you'll take a look at these goals, you'll see that they are more conceptual goals or policy goals. And so I'm just going to quickly read those goals, and then ask for some council input, and then we'll vote on them. First goal is to use electronic and social media to provide information to the public and receive and address citizen input on issues. To expand the perceived downtown area on Main Street from East Street to the South Couplet by including amenities such as street trees. 3, to develop and implement a strategy for development of ball fields and parkland within the city. This goal supersedes previous goals to develop the West Palouse River Drive Ball Fields project. 4 is to collaborate with stakeholders for the development of a permanent enclosed full-size ice rink facility within Moscow. This is just a reiteration of one of last year's goals. 5 is to acknowledge and promote the University of Idaho and Moscow School District by exhibiting their logos on city vehicles. 6 is to adopt an overlay zone for Legacy Crossing Urban Renewal District. The idea on that is, of course, we've been working on an overlay zone, and the purpose was to see that that gets finalized this year if it's at all possible. Number 7 is to review the conditional use permit and economic impact study requirements for the current large retail establishment ordinance, with the goal to encourage business and economic growth consistent with the city's comprehensive plan. 8 is to fund a security camera system. Number 9, address accessibility needs identified by the Mobility Task Force. Develop a funding program to pave gravel streets and encourage sidewalk connectivity, and include a public education campaign and consideration of incentives for participation. I think number 9 was a accumulation of about 3 different goals we piled all into one. 10 is to accommodate receipt of additional private funds for bicycle pedestrian bridge at 3rd and Mountain View. 11 is to implement a plan to remodel the City Hall basement. And 12 is to research and develop a business registration program. And Mayor Cheney, I'll turn it back to you for council discussion.
Thank you, Wayne. Sounds like looks like there's some already. Sue?
Well, I just wanted to address my second one about the street trees. It was very interesting. I was not able to attend the conference on reclaiming commercial strips and strengthening city centers, but I understand from Art Betke that a large part of that was trees. Mm-hmm. So I was ahead of the curve there. So.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Put in a pitch for my trees.
Other discussion of those? Okay. I might just add myself that there was some discussion on item number 5 about whether showing the University of Idaho and Moscow School District logos on city vehicles would be reciprocated. So just to let people know, there's like a bee buzzing around people's bonnets as a prospect there. And then the council is in receipt of a memo that I sent to them dated today that it relates to the goal pertaining, let's see if I have the number on it, item number 7 about the conditional use permit as related to the large retail establishment ordinance. And I know that there will be future opportunity for discussion of this as the City Council and the Planning and Zoning Commission are planning a joint meeting. I think that's the 27th. Is that correct? Yeah. And so we can have that conversation. I did copy my memo to the chair of P&Z. But conditional use permitting process is the public, the opportunity for the public to weigh in on these things, and it's the essence of the large retail establishment ordinance. So I feel pretty strongly about encouraging that to be left in there so that the public does have a chance to weigh in when we've said on multiple occasions in multiple ways that just by nature of their size, these large retail establishments have disproportionate impacts on the surrounding area, and so for citizens to be able to perhaps make the end result better by providing that input, I would hope that the council will choose to leave that in place. We have a design manual which has some awesome ideas in it, but they're not necessarily locked in hard and fast that you shall do this, this, and this in every case. And in fact, the zoning by itself is not sufficient either. So I'll leave it to the councils to decide whether to leave that as a goal. It's not saying it's going to stay or go. It simply says consider it. And I hope you will consider my memo. Anybody else want to talk? Yes, Walter?
Well, I will consider your comment about LREs having a disproportionate impact on communities. Right over to Walmart and Pullman. And if you don't count at least 50% of the license plates as being Idaho and 99% of them being Latah County, I'll go over and help you count. That's a disproportionate impact on Moscow. Putting that large Walmart in Pullman with us having hours closed has lost us 250-odd jobs. It's got people having to travel over there to buy their dog food or whatever they can only find at Walmart if they're not going to Costco. So I certainly agree with you. LREs have a disproportionate impact, and I think negatively when we run them out of town. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, just a small reminder, Walter, that the Moscow Walmart is going to be redesigned and expanded on site here in Moscow.
Gee, I knew that.
Yeah, so I don't think we ran them out of town. The point is about providing public input. So, for example, in requiring off-site improvements, you wouldn't necessarily be able to say Walmart in Pullman provide 2 traffic signals to mitigate the disproportionate effect you have on the flow of public safety as related to transportation. That's part of a conditional use permitting process.
Mayor, you indicated you didn't want to have council discussion on this, but you're promoting council discussion. So do we want to have discussion on this subject?
Oh, we may. I thought that's what you were inviting earlier. No, my point was that we will have a chance to discuss this at the joint meeting. And so the council, what I'm saying is that as crafted, the goal that was put forward is not explicit, saying that the CUP process will stay or go. In fact, that it is up for discussion.
Well, here's the reason that I put it in there.
Okay.
Is that on the other side of the coin, for whatever business that may be looking at building something as small as 60,000 square feet, they're required to spend, what, $50,000, $60,000 on an economic impact study and then come to the city and say, may I? And sit through a public comment period after they've spent that kind of money. And you know what? This has been on the books for 6 years. And what have we seen? Nothing. So that's the reason it's on there for the discussion. And I feel very strongly about it in the other direction as you do.
Mm-hmm. Tim?
Well, the council worked pretty hard during the goal-setting session, and we hashed these things over for 3 or 4 or 5 hours. Can't remember. It was a darn long time. I like what we worked on together as a group, and I'm prepared to move that we accept the 12 goals as they're written.
Second.
Okay, we have Tim's motion, Dan's second. Is there further discussion? And hearing none, we'll start with you, Tim.
Aye.
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 And aye.
Okay, that motion carries. The goals are thereby adopted as drafted.